Begin all acts and thinking by using El Kalum, the All. Chapter 7, Tablet 1, The Living Soul. Lo, Anu, Eliun Eliun El, the Supreme, the Most High, the highest of the Anunnaki, who is praised, the father of Enki and mother Ninti. It was he who made the makers and taught them all, who created the creators. And it was he who fashioned the fashioners. He is the one who is the originator of the originators, the builder of the built things, before the first and after the last. Once you are out of love and compassion for yourself, then, and only then, can you overstand the physical world in which you reside, and which you perceive through what you think to be your five senses. But in reality, when you did lay in the laboratory of Shemti, and time had gone by, there was your barytheric gland removed from you. This maimed you and cut you off from random access to the divine. Originally, you had what was called Natir Ta 10, the 7 senses that could activate 7 higher senses. You could ascend even higher until you ascend back into divinity. But you are still trapped by 1 sense, touch, which is multiplied by deception to 5. For to see, light touch nerve centers. To smell, particles touch nerve centers. To hear, sound waves touch nerve centers. And to feel, you reach and touch things, which activate your nerve centers. They multiply this 1 sense, the sense to really know, to see, hear, taste, smell, and feel. The removal of the barytheric gland removed the 4 higher senses, which were telepathy, psychometry, clairvoyance, and intuition. The senses are necessary for your random access throughout the boundless universe, and they have trapped you in a state of cause and effect, to and fro, up and down, good and bad, in this world of cause and effect, the world of light. You were made human, given the lesser knowledge which controls you. When things are being thoroughly investigated, the knowledge becomes complete. Their knowledge being complete has made their thoughts sincere, their hearts being rectified, and their self is then cultivated. With their self being cultivated, their families were regulated. Their states were rightly governed. The whole kingdom was made tranquil and happy. It is necessary for you to overstand the spiritual realm and the world of darkness, in which you would be using all your 7 senses, thereby rendering you an Allahum, then even higher onto your 9 senses, rendering you an Ethereal being, which is the true world of cause. The things of the world and its inhabitants are subject to change. There are combinations of elements that existed before, and all living creatures are what their past actions made them. For the law of cause and effect is uniform and without exception. The 7 descending planes being Canaan, the potter, the Ab, heart of Anu, El Elo, the source, who is Eliun Eliun El, of the abode called Lahut, from which the name El Elo, which is appointed by El Kalum, the All, from which all originated. The source of the divine reality, the spark of life. Life is the time you spend in your cot body on Earth or on other planets. From the moment of conception, between the sperm and the ovum, there is life and light, divine or otherwise. Prior to fertilization, there was a 3-month preparation inside of the female and the male in darkness. This is actually the first 3 months of life of the human being. Once the egg is fertilized by the male sperm, the child is already in the 4th month of life. So a woman really carries a child for 12 months and not the 9 months as you have been falsely led to believe. The source of divine truth, the guardians or Anunnaki. The source of the mental plane, plane of Ankh, spirit, and Ba, soul, where thoughts are formed. The source of the spiritual plane, where the emotions are manifested. The source of the plane of force, where the force between voluntary and involuntary actions, which life substance is manifested. The source of the material plane, the governor of carnal desire, material, not spiritual, like where Anu, El Elo, who is also Eliun Eliun El, to rule over the heavens and the planet Earth, who is called Yaha or Jahav by the Mizraimites, or those of Kam, Kemet, Egypt. This became Yahweh from Yah, agreeable, and Weh, disagreeable. He is being called the light of the heavens and the earth by those who worship the sun. This was placed in the heart of El Elo, the source, who is called Anu. The plane of force is a plane about which the human mind cannot conceive the knowledge concerning it. For he, El Elo, is the all-knowing and the all-wise. The supreme being, he is El Elo, and you should have no other El Elos with him. Say in your heart, I have faith by way of Anu, as he is. By using all of his names and acknowledging all of his special qualities, by accepting them in your heart and reciting it with your tongue, thus declaring, I will be faithful to Anu and all of the messengers or Anunnaki of Anu, and all of the scriptures, and of all of those Rasulah sent forth by Anu, who is Anu, for guidance, and in a final day, when all actions will be judged, according to whether they be agreeable or disagreeable. All of this comes from Anu, Eliun Eliun El, right up until death. There are 2 lives, life on earth and life after physical death. Death is the door which takes you from one stage in life to the next stage of higher life. If the person was a highly spiritual person, their soul will pass at once through to the planes, or even bypass the planes and go into the heavens or other galaxies, from where their soul and ether being originated. With the help of the elder Anunnaki, the Igigi, the heavenly hosts or 24 elders who sit around the throne called Shuyuk. You should not weep at natural death, but rejoice and welcome the presence of the Elohim. The Anunnaki bless you with old age, which allows the physical body to rest from the harmful activities that we indulge in every day. Old age prepares humans for their inevitable judgment. So escape not from the possibility of becoming elderly, for it is an honored gift that everyone receives. You may weep for murdered victims or accidents or illness and life cut off before old age. You can weep for the pain they felt, but not for the transferred from this world to the next. You cannot take from the all, and you cannot add to the all. The all merely shares and you become. The plane of divine reality is the mental spark, the true essence of being. The light of the life in human beings, a divine spark, reflected spark from Anu, Elion Elion El, the Most High, the highest, manifesting itself as effect. Light disturbed the supreme balancement of darkness, and he created individualism, or a focal point, which manifests there as opposed to here. This spark is in each individual, making them a supreme being onto beings, known as Anunnaki, Alohumat, then onto human beings. Onto human beings, onto human, onto men, onto mammal, onto beast like man, beasts, onto demon. As ether beings, rulers of the agreeable Anunnaki, Seraphat, who can incarnate on behalf of human beings. The disagreeable Anunnaki Garabat can incarnate on behalf of man and the man-beast, having both male and female gender. For in the spirit, Cadman, son of Atum and his wife Lilith, and Nekeba, daughter of Talah, and his wife Anath, are one being. Thus, you, Cadman, are Nekeba, and you, Nekeba, are Cadman. He is also called Adam. It is on this plane where the mental spark is formed. The shell of the spiritual body of Cadman, who is the ruler of Nasut, the abode of Enosite, a spark of divine consciousness, leading to the development of the human soul. Being in the likeness of the Anunnaki and Anu, El Elo, the most glorified and exalted light as a child of the Aluhum. This spark of consciousness, this mental spark that radiates a part of itself to the planes below it. It projects down to the spiritual plane and forms what you call the soul. It is the light of Anu, El Elo, most glorified and exalted, becoming life. The spiritual body, or ethereal you, is the shell of the soul. The spiritual body will be visible as ethereal form to those close to the deceased. This is the spirit together with the 2.5 of soul and the breath of life. It's the last thing to leave the body following the soul. The spirit then becomes drowsy and sinks into the preliminary sleep of the spiritual plane. The spiritual body houses the soul of the spiritual etheric plane. When the breath of life ceases to exist in human beings, the etheric cord and the spiritual body is cut. This allows the person to live an extended and independent ethereal life. Much like when a baby is born, the umbilical cord is cut from the mother, which he or she once depended upon. The baby comes out and begins a whole new life. The soul is greater than life, because when life is no more, the soul remains forever. In that which the being has done that has affected others, his soul is his essence, and he's remembered time. The soul is greater. It gives you your will to live or die in the physical. Thus, the physical life of the soul is 1,000 years in this realm, and the spiritual life of the soul, as the spirit is the shell of the soul, is 43,800 years. But the existence of the soul in the minds of those affected is eternity. When a person dies, the soul and the breath of life is the last thing to leave the physical body. Then, being the human, should live to 120 earth years and 1,000 as nature and a part of nature, on the plane of force, which is the breath of life. His existence goes on to complete the cycle of existence until he or she is remembered no more, Anu is remembered. Hambaba is forgot. This soul is attracted by bacteria, and a form is shaped around it, which is a body that is formed by the hand of the Anunnaki, the most glorified and exalted ones, the benevolent ones. On the arms of Enki, Israel, the angelic being of death, son of Anu and Id, built on atoms of the physical plane, it manifests as a mortal, body and spirit, giving birth to a living soul. The body, the spirit, the living soul is the successor of the earthly plane, a son of the Anunnaki, Cadman. You were born of the will of Anu, El Elo, a living soul. The mental spark, all connected through the spiritual umbilical cord, the etheric cord.